Turning to you, George, on the migration issue, it is interesting, isn't it, that a significant proportion of the Muslim population within France, I believe something like 10%, are in opinion polls seem to be supporting a far-right candidate. How do you explain that sort of situation, and what would you say is the appeal that seems to cross boundaries within Europe at the moment for candidates that are looking for quite strong measures against immigration today?
Well, I think to answer the first part of your question, and also I think as I repost to the words of Le Pen that we were hearing, I think it's what Le Pen probably has done is he has noticed that particularly Ségolène Royal, who has been attacked for making some bloopers in international relations, and also has noticed that Sarkozy has the problem in the banlieue with the immigrants, who are not just Arabs but black as well, black from Africa. He has suddenly become a great spokesman on international relations, which up to now was not his case. Now, it is true that the President of France is supposed to run foreign policy. And so from that point of view, he's grabbed onto something that he's trying to make something of. And therefore, your voter in the banlieue who are so angry, the ones who are so angry at what Sarkozy did, might just possibly pick up on a lot of this ridiculous stuff that Le Pen is talking about. He is making it appear as if the Arab world, the Middle East, depends on the old colonial powers for a chance to do something in the world. That's not the case. First of all, they have had lots of oil, and they are economically in a position to use it, and it is the governments of these countries and the people of these countries who are in a position to make the best of them and who should make the best of them. And to argue that they are somehow being put into a corner and being forced to migrate and immigration comes as a result of that is, I think, just open nonsense. There's a lot of talk about it, but Le Pen is just trying to find a way to get some more votes.
But looking at the other candidates, right. It does seem that Sarkozy has taken some of that agenda and tried to make it his own. Certainly, the other candidates are talking as if they want to move the agenda towards stricter controls on immigration. It seems to be relatively universal, if not, I mean, a message, although, of course, on the ground it may be different. The policies, the actual policies may be different, but the rhetoric certainly seems to be moving in that direction.
Well, Le Pen has always been known against immigration and trying to stop it. So suddenly he is talking this way as if to give the impression that he is not against immigration. Obviously, all through Europe, the immigration issue from the third world, and it's different from country to country, has become an issue particularly with people who are challenged in their workplaces in particular, or perhaps where they live, by other people coming in. And this is an issue which all countries have. And if you look at places like the Middle East or Africa, they themselves have this kind of a problem. I think from that point of view, yes, Sarkozy is trying to appear as if he will do something about protection and immigration. Frankly, I don't think in a country like France you could get very strong new laws against immigration. Not to mention that a lot of the immigration is illegal and there's no real way of stopping it, particularly when you have members of family and friends already established in the country, particularly as they're voters or have influence. So the idea that somehow something new is going to come out of this vis-a-vis immigration, I think most voters in France, I suspect, realize this is not the problem. It's more a question of law and order and how you treat people who are there. So I don't think the immigration issue you can't do much about it. The United States is trying to do something about it. The United Kingdom is trying to do something about it, places like Germany, Netherlands, Italy, and they can't. So it's a kind of a non-issue, but it's one that allows people to talk a lot.
Michel, I wonder if we could turn to you and look at the next step, if you like, in immigration, and that is, if you like, from one perspective, closing the door after the horse has bolted is not going to work, and so perhaps it is more about integration and about bringing people together and trying to dampen down the frictions that happen between communities. Do you think that there is any debate within France about that, and where might that go? What sort of?
Well, I think people deep down recognize that it is, as I say, an experiment that has not worked, so that you don't cause it to work by closing the door and pretending it's going to when people know it doesn't. And it's not to anybody's benefit, frankly, eventually, that it should work. The planet is designed for different races, different placements on the planet. We belong to part of the fauna and flora of our normal racial placement. This is a discussion it's always demonized, and as if this is racist and hateful. Well, of course, it's the very opposite. One likes to celebrate the planet as it was made and created. What we should try to do is to benefit those nations that need our help. Rather than bombing them, spending trillions of dollars bombing them, we would be better off trying to bring them into the industrialized concepts. Here we are, we can't even allow Iran to have access to nuclear fuel and its development. It's correct that the Zionist lobby is attempting to control such a benefit to another nation. So we are not using our means to help all round. We are confusing the issue.
And that perspective, how does it fit into the globalization debate, which I know is also part of this election campaign, and the way in which some candidates have been appealing towards a more protectionist stance economically, while others have been saying that in actual fact there's very little one can do if one doesn't like globalization, and that this brings wealth and communication between cultures.
Yes, well, it brings wealth to the organizers, it brings wealth to the bankers, it brings wealth to many people that do not need this benefit. But the people who are losing their jobs, their small interests, our farmers here, Tesco and Walmart and the equivalent in many countries are doing extremely well. But this does not help our farmers, our small people, our sense of our cultural background. All of this, I mean, on the EU map, for example, the word England no longer exists. England is to be divided up into regions that have no association whatsoever with the history that developed them, because it said that this mass migration is an affront to, they are affronted by this history that has nothing to do with them, so it can be eliminated. This does nothing for the migrants' sense of well-being or mindset, which cannot relate to an ancient country for whom they have left another ancient country that they belong to. We are being duped. We are seriously being duped. We are losing our frameworks, we're losing our mindsets that have been developed over the centuries in our cultures. Indeed, as I mentioned to George when I asked him, was his name Greek? Because I believe, and like many like people who recognize the real problem, we are losing the basis of our Western culture, which is the Hellenism, which is the source skepticism, the right to inquire, to ask. People are being imprisoned for these things. We are losing our own in this concept, losing our own way, and so are the people who are being migrated to a foreign and alien concept.
Thank you.
We should have all, not eliminate.